Everything you built to feel safe is quietly making you smaller. And the smaller you get, the more you need it. You used to be able to handle things that would now ruin your entire week. A cold shower, a difficult conversation, an hour without your phone. These used to be nothing. Now they feel like emergencies. And here is what should concern you. You engineered this yourself. Every small optimization you made to avoid friction has quietly narrowed the range of what you can tolerate. In 2010, researchers at the University of Virginia discovered something that should have made headlines. They asked people to sit alone in a room with nothing but their own thoughts for 15 minutes. The subjects were also given a button that would deliver a painful electric shock. Nearly half of them chose the shock over the silence. Physical pain was preferable to being left alone with themselves. That was over a decade ago, before the smartphone became an extension of the hand. Imagine running that study now. The modern world has made a silent promise to you. You will never have to feel anything you do not want to feel. Hungry at 2 a.m.? Delivered in 20 minutes. Bored for 3 seconds? Infinite scroll. Lonely tonight? Swipe right. Anxious about anything? There is a pill, a podcast, a purchase. The promise sounds like freedom, but here is the trap nobody mentions. Every time you avoid discomfort, you are training yourself to need avoidance. You are not solving the problem. You are shrinking your capacity to handle it. The comfortable life is not making you stronger. It is making you brittle. There is a term for this in psychology: distress intolerance. It measures how much discomfort a person can sit with before they need to escape. And across the developed world, that number is collapsing. People are reporting higher levels of anxiety than ever before, despite objectively safer lives. The paradox is brutal. The more you protect yourself from discomfort, the more threatening discomfort becomes. Your nervous system learns that if you keep running, the threat must be real. This is how a minor inconvenience starts to feel like a crisis. Watch what happens when the Wi-Fi goes down for an hour. Watch the reaction when a flight is delayed by 30 minutes. Watch what happens when someone has to wait without their phone. These are not character flaws. They are symptoms. Symptoms of a nervous system that has been trained to expect constant comfort and panic when it does not arrive. But here is where it gets darker. Comfort does not just shrink your tolerance, it shrinks your sense of self. The philosopher Kierkegaard called it the despair of not willing to be oneself. You know who you could be, and you keep choosing the smaller version. Not because you are lazy, because the larger version requires discomfort you have trained yourself to fear. Every meaningful thing in your life came from tolerating something uncomfortable long enough for it to become tolerable. Learning to read was uncomfortable before it was automatic. Every friendship required awkward conversations before they became easy. Every skill you have was once frustrating, tedious, and unrewarding. Discomfort was the doorway. And now you have built a life designed to keep that door shut. Think about what you used to be able to do. 10 years ago, you could sit through boredom without reaching for a device. You could feel hungry without treating it as an emergency. You could feel sad without immediately needing to fix it. Each of those tolerances was a muscle, and muscles atrophy when you stop using them. You have not gotten weaker by accident. You have been trained to be weaker by a system that profits from your weakness. Every app on your phone has a team of engineers whose job is to make waiting intolerable. Every platform is optimized to make silence feel like abandonment. Every service is designed to make effort feel like failure. They call it convenience, but what they are really selling is dependence. The more you use, the less you can do without. The less you can do without, the more you will pay to get it back. This is not a conspiracy. It is just good business, and you are the product being made. But here is the part that keeps people trapped. The comfortable life does not feel like a trap. It feels like you finally made it. You worked hard to get here. The money, the apartment, the subscription services that anticipate your every need. This is success. This is what everyone told you to want. And yet, something is wrong. You have everything you are supposed to want, and you feel less alive than when you had nothing. There is a name for this. Psychologists call it the Arrival Fallacy, the belief that reaching a goal will bring lasting happiness. But there is something deeper going on. Meaning does not come from comfort. It comes from growth. And growth requires resistance. Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps and spent the rest of his life studying meaning. What he found was that people do not need comfort. They need a reason to endure. He wrote that suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning. But what happens when you remove all suffering before it can find one? You are left with comfort that asks nothing of you. And nothing that asks nothing of you will ever give you meaning. This is why something feels hollow, even when your life looks full. You are not depressed because something is wrong. You are depressed because nothing is hard. The challenge has been engineered out of your life, and with it, the opportunity to prove yourself. Here is a question nobody asks. What is your tolerance for discomfort worth? Everything. Your capacity to tolerate discomfort is the only thing standing between you and everything you actually want. The relationship you want requires uncomfortable conversations you keep avoiding. The career you want requires failure you keep sidestepping. The health you want requires suffering you keep postponing. The confidence you want requires embarrassment you keep avoiding. Every version of your life that you envy requires a tolerance you have stopped building. And here is the uncomfortable truth about the people who seem to handle everything better. They are not stronger by nature. They have simply been exposed to more discomfort and survived it. Each exposure taught their nervous system the same lesson. This is survivable. And that lesson compounds. Each time you sit with discomfort and do not run, you are teaching yourself that you are the kind of person who can handle things. And each time you escape, you are teaching yourself the opposite. Your identity is built one small decision at a time, and you have been making the same decision over and over without realizing it. There is something people discover when they are finally uncomfortable again. It feels like waking up. The runner who pushes through the wall describes a clarity that nothing else provides. The speaker who finally says the hard thing feels more real than they have in months. The person who sits with grief instead of numbing it discovers they are larger than the pain. This is what the comfortable life steals from you: the chance to know what you are made of. You will never know your own strength if you never test it. You will never know your own depth if you never sink. The philosopher Nietzsche wrote that a person needs enemies more than friends. Resistance is not the obstacle to becoming yourself. It is the mechanism. The comfortable life has convinced you that the absence of struggle is the goal. But the absence of struggle is the absence of growth. And the absence of growth is a slow kind of dying. You can see it in people's eyes. The ones who have everything but are going nowhere, there is a flatness to them. And the ones who are struggling towards something, there is a light. The light is not happiness, it is aliveness. It comes from having something worth suffering for. So, what does this mean for you? It does not mean you should seek suffering for its own sake. It means you should stop outsourcing your capacity to yourself. Do the uncomfortable thing while it is still a choice. Because life will eventually make it mandatory, and you will have forgotten how. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. Feel the hunger without immediately feeding it. Sit with the boredom without reaching for the phone. Let the loneliness exist without numbing it. Each small tolerance rebuilds a muscle you have let atrophy. And that muscle is the only thing that will let you become who you are supposed to be. The comfortable life is not killing you quickly. It is doing something worse. It is killing you quietly. It is letting you sleepwalk through a life that could have been extraordinary. You are trading the pain of becoming for the numbness of staying the same. And somewhere inside, you know it. You can feel it in the space between who you are and who you were supposed to become. That gap is not going to close by itself. Closing it requires exactly what you have been avoiding. The question is not whether you can handle it. The question is whether you will remember how before it is too late. The comfortable life does not care if you wake up. It only asks that you do not notice falling asleep.